I want to buy a house, but interest rates are so high. How am I going to make it happen? Well, we've got a plan for you. Let's get into it. How's it going, guys? Derek here from M1 Realty. I'm the broker owner of the company. Been in business since 2014. We're the #1 real estate firm in the city of Ferndale. And I've got an all-star team of agents. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you need, we got you covered. So it's no secret that interest rates have taken a big jump from the beginning of the year. We were looking at, right around 3% back in January interest rates. Now we're at 6.5%, and actually they've gone down about 0.5% since the peak a couple weeks ago. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a clue what's going to happen with interest rates over the long term. Although I will say this, when they were down at 3% beginning of the year, they were being held artificially low. The Fed was doing whatever they could through the beginning of COVID, through the beginning of this year, to keep interest rates as low as possible, just to keep some sectors of the economy going. And that's how we were able to see those crazy interest rates. Like, we'll more than likely never see those again in our lifetimes. So I'm not too concerned about that. But at the same time, interest rates where they are now are kind of artificially high. The Fed is raising rates in order to combat inflation, and it looks like, knock on wood, it looks like it's actually working. And that is why, even though a few weeks ago they raised their rates up against 75 basis points, which equals 0.75%. Typically, when that happens, the mortgage rate market will adjust accordingly. This time it didn't. It didn't. It stayed right where it was from the last time they had raised rate 75 basis points. And one of the reasons why they did that is because there is optimism in the market that inflation is getting, we're getting a handle on that. We're getting it under control, and we know for a fact that the Federal Reserve wants to bring interest rates back down as soon as they can. They just need to make sure that inflation is taken care of before they do it. And it's very important to remember, in the grand scheme of things, we're at about 6.5% right now. We were almost at 7% a few weeks ago. So at 6.5%, we're still below the 40-year average interest rate. That's 7.17%. So we're still well below that. We've actually not touched that, even with the way that rates have gone up this year. So knowing what we know, that the Fed wants to bring interest rates down as soon as they can, and the fact that they're not down right now. So where does that leave us if you're looking to buy a home? Well, there's a mortgage product out there that's it's been out there for forever. As long as I've been in the business, 19 years, this has been a thing. It just hasn't been very practical recently for buyers to use, and that's called the 2-1 rate buydown. So this is kind of similar to an adjustable rate mortgage, but it's not really a true adjustable rate, because it really, you're buying down the rate for a 2-year period, with the assumption being on that third year that the prevailing interest rate is going to be much lower than it is right now, and you're just going to refinance out of the mortgage that you're in. And the unique thing about this mortgage product that I really like is that we use the seller's money to do it. On a true adjustable rate mortgage, that mortgage, there's many ways to structure that, but essentially the way that it usually works is that once a year, your interest rate is going to adjust by a certain amount, depending on where the interest rate is for that year. So it could go up or it could go down. Usually it can only go up and down by a certain amount every year. So that keeps things a little bit more predictable for you as a buyer. You kind of know, like, within reason what your payment's going to be every year, and you can budget and plan for that. But you are a little bit at the mercy of the market at that point. So where this 2-1 buy down differs is we know where we're starting out at, what the interest rate is. We know where we're going to be year 1. We know where we're going to be year 2. And then year 3, it doesn't matter if the interest rate has gone up 2 percentage points higher than what you started out at. It's going to be a fixed rate at where you're at. Now, if mortgage rates go lower on that third year, that's what I was talking about, we'll just refinance and get you that lower rate. That way, you get into the house you want, you start building equity on it right now, you're not getting killed on interest, and then that third year, you have a decision to make of, whether you just want to keep the current interest rate that you're at now, or if it's worth it for you to refinance. And to break this down and just make it a little bit easier to understand, let's hypothetically say you're going to purchase a $300,000 house. Now, we're not taking insurance and we're not taking property taxes into account for this, because those can fluctuate quite a bit depending on what city, what county, what location you're buying in. But just from a principal and interest portion of your payment standpoint, here's what we're going to do just to make it a little bit more easy to comprehend. So as of right now, our average 30-year fixed interest rate is right in the neighborhood of 6.5%. So on that $300,000 purchase at 6.5%, if you were just to have a conventional fixed rate mortgage at that 6.5%, the principal and interest portion of that payment would be $1,896.20. So the thinking on this 2-1 buy down, the way that I personally recommend structuring this product so that it benefits you as a home buyer the most, is say the house is priced at $300,000. So what we're going to do is write them an offer at $307,000, and we want $7,000 in concessions. So what that means is, out of that $307,000, $7,000 is coming back to you, the buyer, in the form of closing costs, prepaids, escrows, the whole 9 yards. That's less money that you have to bring to closing, essentially. And it's, as far as the seller is concerned, they're still netting their $300,000. So even if it's, $307,000, they're giving $7,000 back, they're still getting, the price that they want to get for the house. So it's a win-win from that standpoint. One of the big issues that we've been dealing with from a home buyer standpoint on the real estate side for the past couple years is appraisals. Well, that's not really an issue at this point anymore, because the market's calmed down a little bit. We're not really seeing prices decrease by a ton. Some cities are seeing, the average sale price is kind of flatlining. Other cities it's down like 8% or something like that. It's not anything like too crazy. But the good news is, because we went through like so much, craziness for the last 2 years, and it drove prices up so high, that appraisals are no longer an issue. There's going to be comps out there that reflect that higher purchase price. That $307,000 won't be a problem. We'll be able to get it to appraise, and that way, we're not taking any of that $7,000 out of your own pocket. The seller is going to provide all that for you. So now that we've got that part worked out, we know where that money's coming from to buy the rate down. And so hypothetically, so again, say 6.5% is, the rate we're starting at. That's today's prevailing interest rate for your mortgage. And again, that can always fluctuate a little bit depending on credit score, debt to income ratio, your income, all that. If your credit score is, 600 or 615, 620, you're not going to get as good of an interest rate as if you had a 800 credit score. That's just how it works. So take that with a grain of salt. But that being said, this product and this method will work no matter what your interest rate is. So we're just using 6.5 as a hypothetical. So for that first year, so you buy that house, and the next 12 months, instead of paying 6.5% interest, you're paying 4.5%, and we're using that $7,000 from the seller to buy that rate down. So immediately your payment goes from $18.96 every month down to $15.26 a month. That is a savings every single month of $372.14. That's not coming out of your pocket because the seller already paid that. So that's money that you just keep, that you can save, you can spend it on other things, do what you need to do with it. But essentially that's giving you back $4,465.68 on that first year that would have gone towards interest that no longer has to. Then the second 12 months, so after you've owned that house for a year, that interest rate's going to adjust from 4.5% up to 5.5%. So it's still a full percent lower than what it would have been if you just did a 30-year fixed. That brings your monthly payment on year 2 up to $1,703.37. So that's still a savings of $192.83 a month over what you would have been paying had you just gotten the fixed rate mortgage. And over that second 12-year span, that translates into a savings of $2,313.96. that isn't coming out of your pocket. Again, the seller's already paid for it 2 years ago at this point, and that's just, keeping money in your pocket that you otherwise would have had to pay in interest. So we had gotten originally $7,000 from the seller in the form of a credit to you, the buyer, to buy your rate down. And out of that $7,000, we ended up using $6,779.64 to keep you from having to pay that interest for the first 2 years. So again, the thinking being that 2 years from now, we should be, knock on wood, unless anything crazy catastrophic happens with the economy, we'll be somewhere in the 4.5% to 5.5% interest rate range. That, that's kind of where a normal, sustainable market likes to be. I mean, we've had higher interest rates and lower interest rates over the years, and so there's never really like a set rate. But for the the majority of like the last 20 years, that's kind of where we've been in that kind of range for interest rates. So that seems to be where we still see nice appreciation on homes. It's not so high that it's bringing the prices down, and it's a nice, sustainable, makes easy to make payments for buyers as well in that range. And the beauty of this, right? So say interest rates go down faster than we expect. Say we're a year from now and we're already at say we're at 5.25% or 5%, and that's we've got a handle on inflation, everything's worked out, the economy's humming along just fine. The Fed's able to bring interest rates down, and so next November we're sitting around talking about how interest rates are at 5.25%. So your second year on this 2-1 Buydown would already be at 5.5%. So if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to pay a higher interest rate than you have to. So if we're already at 5.25% a year from now, it makes more sense probably at that point to refinance, and just refinance into a 30-year fixed at that 5.25%. So after that first year, we've only used $4,500 of that $7,000 that we got from the seller to buy down the rate for that first year. So now we've still got $2,500 sitting there. So what are we going to do with that? Of course, it costs money to refinance. We're going to use the seller's money from last year to refinance you into that 30-year fixed rate at a lower interest rate that is a nice, easy, comfortable monthly payment for you. So you can see why I'm making a whole video on this on this mortgage product, because I think it makes a lot of sense. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea where interest rates are going to be 2 years from now, let alone 6 months from now. That being said, in the grand scheme of things, I know that the Fed wants to do whatever they can to keep interest rates as low as possible, because the more the more people are buying homes, the better it is for the economy. Like every real estate closing is worth $60,000 to the GDP. So it's in their best interest to keep homes turning over, keep things affordable for buyers. That keeps prices appreciating. It's just a win-win for everybody involved. So in the interest of that, we know where everybody wants interest rates to go. It's just a matter of when will that happen. So I like working with innovative mortgage lenders that come out with products like this, because it just makes things a little easier for everyone. It makes it easier for me because I can go and explain it to you guys. If you're thinking about buying a house, it's a really good option to keep a whole lot of money in your pocket that otherwise you would have gone towards interest. And if you're a home seller, it's a really good way to get full price for your house, plus make it easy for that buyer to buy that home. So if you want $300,000 for your home and you get $307,000, then you get give that $7,000 back to your buyer, you're still getting full price for your house. You're getting exactly what you wanted. So you're walking away knowing that you accomplished your goals on the real estate side. And it's just one of those things where we just think a little bit creatively. It's a win for everybody involved, and it's just something that just one of those tools that we have, that you have to have that kind of institutional knowledge and make it a point to always be learning about the real estate business. And that way I'm able to provide options that, you know, other agents might not be able to provide for you just because they don't know about it. But luckily you're watching this, so you do know about it. And of course, if you have any questions about this 2-1 rate buy down, or really anything at all about the real estate market, but you know, if there's something that I didn't address or didn't clarify enough, whatever the case is, just reach out to me. My direct line is 586-491-5622. You can also reach me at 248-561-6155. Shoot me an email at dwerenka@m1realty.net. Hit me up on Facebook Messenger, Instagram, whatever the case may be. Or just leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. But I really appreciate you watching this. I hope this was helpful for you, because I think this is a really good product that is going to make a lot of people's lives a whole lot easier on the buy side. You know, I know a lot of people that have, you know, wanted to purchase homes, and for the past couple years they were having a hard time because there just weren't that many out there. It was so competitive and there was so little inventory, and inventory is still pretty low, but there's less competition now from buyers, so it's a little bit easier to get a home under contract on the buy side. And you know, I just want to point out too, if you're renting a home and you want to wait because interest rates are so high, well, if you're renting, you are paying 100% interest right now. I hope you know, I just want to make that clear. You know, it's like, you know, most people don't think about it, but 100% of your rent payment is going to your landlord. None of that goes back to you in the form of, you know, equity in that house. So, you know, even though interest rates are, you know, higher than they have been, you know, we can get you into a house with little to no money out of pocket. Your monthly payment would be almost definitely less than what you're paying in rent. And then, you know, a portion of your monthly payment, even at the beginning where the interest is like really front loaded on a mortgage, a portion of that monthly payment is always going towards your principal to pay that down and create equity for you. So just something to think about, you know, if you're renting. You know, just want to, you know, maybe change that paradigm a little bit from in your thought process, and you know, get you onto a track to where you can build wealth for yourself. So once again, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you watching this. Love making these videos. I love answering questions that when you guys ask, you know, have any questions for me. And as always, if there's ever anything I can do for you, just reach out. I'm just a phone call or a text message away. And thanks so much, guys. We'll talk again next week, and have a great one. Thank you so much.